Hey everybody, welcome to part 3 of the April 2009 tool hoard. Alright, so in part 2 I alluded to the fact that there was an item in this box that I had felt that I probably paid more than I should have for, and that is this microscope. This is a Southern Precision microscope. Now, what's interesting about this is that this is actually branded SPI, but I don't think this is the same SPI as the cheap manufacturer of machinist tools like indicators, because I believe that SPI is supposed to stand for Swiss Precision Instruments, and I've talked about this in the past, that there's nothing Swiss or precision about the stuff that's branded SPI. So it's kind of a decent microscope. It's a little miniature. I thought it was a handheld microscope, and because it was with all this machinist stuff, I kind of got the idea that this was like a tooling microscope. So I figured, well, it'd be nice to have one. Had no idea what it was worth, but this is one of the few items that the seller actually took the time to pull his phone out and Google this thing. And I think he came up with one in Google results that was like $60 or $75. So, I think when he told me that, I said, well, I wouldn't be interested in that kind of money. So he asked me, what I'd pay for it, and we ended up agreeing on $25. So I got this for $25. So I'm not into it for like way more money than it's worth. The only reason I say this is because I did a quick search on eBay after the fact and found out that one of these sold on eBay for $26. Now, sold for $26 on eBay, and then I think the people had to pay a little bit for shipping, so I got it cheaper than the cheapest one on eBay. And now that I look at the photographs of the one that sold for $26, I can see from the photographs that this one appears to be much cleaner and in better shape. Then there was another one, though, that sold for like, I think $45 or $30, I think it was $36 or something like that. And that one caught my eye because that one had more than one eyepiece. Okay, this one only has the one eyepiece. Interestingly enough, looking at this case looks like it's made to only hold the one eyepiece. So I don't know what the story is on that other one. The one mystery, we'll get this clamp right here. Okay, this goes right around this section right here and then allows this to actually be, I guess, maybe mounted on a stand or something. Not sure. So we get this clamp, and the clamp actually, I think, is supposed to be on here when it's stored in the case, so that this part right here would sit right here. And then there's something missing that goes right here that I could see somebody else was selling one of these, and I could see this device, and it almost looked to me like a pen light. One of those, looks like a pen, but you press the side and it's a little flashlight. That's what it looked like to me. There's that. And then the only other mystery is this part right here. I don't know what this is supposed to be for, because it's way too small to fit in here. Okay? So I don't quite understand what the point of this thing is. So I guess it could go on here like this, but why? I don't know. Oh, maybe this is the wrench for... Maybe this is the wrench for actually unscrewing the objective lens? That's interesting. Well, I'm not going to worry about it. You know, a while back I sold a Mitutoyo stand, indicator stand, and I never thought I'd see another one. And then, lo and behold, I come across a virtually identical one at this sale. So this one, one thing it's got going for it, the last one I had did not have any anvil here. There are, I think I looked it up, and there are 3 different possible anvils that you can get for this stand. There's this flat one here. There's a serrated one, or there's one with ridges in it, I think. Or is it a crosshatch? I honestly don't remember. And then I think there's actually a domed one. But this is probably the most popular anvil. This one is really filthy. It has an indicator in it, but you know, it's funny, this is actually a pretty nice precision stand, and what do they got for an indicator in here? Another one of these tech locks, these Japanese cheapies. Well, at least it cleans up easy. And you know, there's nothing wrong with this indicator. It works perfectly fine. It's just a cheapie, you know. But no reason why that can't be a good usable indicator for somebody. Somebody who's not an elitist snob when it comes to their indicators, right? Well, give me a couple of minutes to clean this up. So I just want to mention, I didn't spend an awful lot of time on this. I basically just sprayed this down with my degreaser of choice, which is, lately it's been LA's Totally Awesome, because this stuff is cheap, which is why I think it's awesome. And let it sit for, you know, a minute or so, 30 seconds, and then wiped it down the best I could. And I didn't even get in all the nooks and crannies. I could have broke out a toothbrush and done even better. And this actually cleaned up pretty nice. There is some damage and spots here where the lacquer is, you know, this is a cast base, and they put some sort of a putty or something on here to smooth it out before they paint it, and then that gets damaged. But this is a model 7003. The anvil even cleaned up pretty nice. I could still see what I think looked like maybe scraping marks in there from or when they made the thing. So these trade for like $50 to $100 depending on condition on eBay. Last one of these that I had, I think I got $45 for, because it was missing the anvil and it was in really good shape other than that. But because this one had visible surface rust on the anvil, and it was so filthy and it just didn't look like much, and the tech lock indicator, I had already bought one of those tech lock indicators from him for like, what did I say I paid for that tech lock? Like $5. He let me have this stand with the tech lock indicator for $15. So really, if I paid $5 for that tech lock, I'm really paying $10 for this stand. So I'm not going to get hurt with this. And yeah, I'm going to sell it. I'm not going to keep it. I've got so many drop indicator stands now, and you know, if you were to ask me how often I use a drop indicator stand, never. I'm going to want to keep at least one. Don't get me wrong. A close-up shot showing how this cleaned up. You could see the fine scratches in there from my cleaning. This could stand to probably have a maybe a little bit of a lapping. But I can't feel any imperfections that are so severe that I can feel them with my finger, except maybe, well, even the staining at the edge here isn't that bad. But this is really where the rubber hits the road here in this main area, and it feels good. I mean, it doesn't feel good enough that I'd want to sit here the rest of the night rubbing it, but, you know. All right, so the next item I bought is actually something that I spotted almost immediately when I was looking over all the boxes and the stuff just laying on pallets. I recognized this thing right away as an end mill sharpening jig. And the reason why I recognized it so readily was because I have the same exact one. This is almost identical to my other one. The other one that I bought is badged Hertlien. Hertlien or EIN. I don't remember. And it says Mount Vernon, New York. And I bought that out of an estate, and it had one of the holders in it, and then I found a couple more. So let me show you the holders that came with the one that I bought a while back. So this is what the holders normally look like for this thing. Okay? But as far as I can tell. And then it appears to me that there's a removable bushing so that you can hold, for instance, more than one size in this. And then when you need smaller sizes, you can use the smaller rods, and then each end has a different size. So that's 1 size, 2 size, 3 size, 4 size, 5 sizes, 6 sizes, and then if these bushings come out and give you extra sizes, maybe it's even more versatile, I don't know. So the interesting thing about this one is that this is what was in there when I got it. This does appear to have the same kind of design where it looks like this bushing might be able to be removed. But all that I found was this. Okay? Now, I also found this. And I thought maybe, because I think I was going from memory that I remembered these knurled collars on these things. I was thinking, well, maybe that this is supposed to be for this, but now I'm not entirely convinced, and I'll get to this in a second. So I don't really know what use this is going to be, since I already have one that I'm not using. The problem with something like this is because it's a heavy kind of pain in the butt thing to ship. So hopefully maybe I can find a local buyer who might be interested in this. It's got the same stop. You can set the stop. And again, it's just these aren't tapered or anything. You've got these posts you can adjust. There we go. So this actually, if I recall correctly, it's tilting this in. So you would set this so that I guess your edge that you want to grind is right near the grinder, and you would push this and it would tilt in and grind it, and then you would rotate this. I honestly don't know how to use this. I think I found online, I saw a video of a guy using one of these, and he was kind of explaining how to set it up and everything, and it didn't seem like it was too difficult, so might be something I could get into. So I paid $25 for this with this. Now, the interesting thing is, I'm now thinking this has nothing to do with this at all, and that this is something else that he had there, and that neither one of us really know what the hell it was for. This collar, this stop collar, seems to be a good fit, and it was sitting on here when I got it. But here's the thing that's interesting about this. That's a collet that's sitting in the end of this. So if I unscrew this, I can actually remove the 5C collet. And actually, that is not a 5C collet. What is that? We'll have to take some measurements and check online to figure out what that is, probably. This might be a 3C collet. Now, this face of this thing is chewed up. That's going to focus or not. Now, he did have a collet closer for a South Bend lathe. He believes it was off of a South Bend. And then the long rod that goes through the headstock, the end where the collets screw in, looked really small to me. And I think I looked it up online, and I think it was either a 2C or a 3C collet. I mean a chucker. You know, the quick release. He had the rod that goes through the headstock has a threaded end that's supposed to thread into the back of the collet. He didn't have the piece that goes into the front of the spindle that's supposed to actually hold the collet. And he didn't have the cap that covers the threads. When you take the chuck off, the threads are exposed when you're using this collet closer. collet closer. That's what I was looking for. Collet closer. When you're using a collet closer, you have the chuck off and the threads are exposed, and to protect them, there's actually a piece that threads on and covers the threads. So that isn't critical, but the part that the collet sits in, you need that. You can make one of those. He wanted too much for that. He wanted like $250, I think, for just the pieces he had, and he didn't even have a complete collet closer. So this maybe is from a spin indexer or some other maybe grinding fixture. I don't know. You know, there's absolutely no markings on it, so that's not going to tell us anything. Now I'm looking at it here. It's not just the face of this collet that's all chewed up, but the face of this holder is also chewed up. So whatever operation was being done, it resulted in this getting really kind of beat up. Well, if I can ever identify whatever the heck that is, I can offer it up for sale. Spotted this in a box, and I knew pretty much right away what this probably was. The fact that he had a collet closer sitting there for a south bend, or he believed it was for a south bend. Had a pretty good inkling that this was probably going to be a spindle chuck for a south bend lathe or a similar early lathe. So what this is actually a chuck that's designed to thread right onto the spindle. So you take off your 3-jaw and you put this on, and you can actually hold small pieces in it. This appears to be marked that it's a number 58B headstock chuck. It's a 1.5 by 8 PI spindle. So the PI is interesting. It's 8 PI, 8 per inch. Well, how come it's not TPI, threads per inch? I don't know. But anyways, that's what it is, 1.5 by 8. Spindle chuck or headstock chuck. But the 58B makes it pretty easy to identify. The eBay is loaded with these. Yeah, so the Jacobs 58B headstock chuck is 1.5 by 8 TPI. We already knew that. And it's coming up on eBay as being apparently used on Atlas, Craftsman. Some of the people who sell them put names of lathes that these are used on. Right now I'm seeing Atlas and Craftsman. I mean, you can use it on any lathe that happens to have a 1.5 inch by 8 TPI spindle. In South Bend, this person even says Jet. So, like the cheapest one offered right now is like $80 or $90. Cheapest one that's sold for $55. And they actually tend to trade more around $70 or $80. I got this for $20. Now, I didn't even look at it closely. It does spin freely. Anywho, that's going to be a good deal for somebody that's too small for any of my lathes. But I just got to interrupt myself here and let you guys know. I think it's funny that I just finished, when I finished videoing that segment on the Minotauro stand, I immediately took some photographs of it and threw it up on Steve's basement, and I just got a PM, that gentleman who's buying some items from me, he says sold. So that was quick. And then I found this Jacobs chuck. So this Jacobs chuck, this is a ball bearing Jacobs chuck, so it's the super chuck. It's actually a pretty good chuck. The condition doesn't look that bad. And this is a 14N, so this is 0 to 1/2 inch capacity. And I actually also found, well, hell, that doesn't go to that. Oh, I remember that. All right, I'll get to that in a minute. So, just the chuck. Whenever I find a chuck that's not on any kind of arbor, I often wonder whether or not it's just never been used. This actually looks like it's in pretty darn good shape. I actually paid $15 for this. and I'm wondering why. Yeah, I know it's a ball bearing super chuck and everything, but it doesn't even have an arbor on it, and I really don't need another chuck, but I guess I was just, I don't know, the heat of the moment. It's not broken, so yeah, so I paid 15 bucks for this. I own it now. Then I came across these handles, and I know he had a milling machine and a vise, so I made sure, asked him, make sure, you don't need an extra handle or whatever. He said no. So let me start with these 3 vise handles right here. We agreed on 30 bucks for the 3. So I'm into these handles for 10 bucks a piece. I think I'm going to be able to get 20 bucks a piece for them. At least I hope. I believe they are all the same as far as size. These are all going to be the standard, like Kurt size. Yeah, these fit my Kurt vise, so should be all set. Now, as far as who makes these, this one's going to be easy because it's got a part number right on it. 6-23 and 6-24. So 6-23 for the handle and 6-24 for this part. Well, that's interesting. I'm sorry, 60-23. These are both 60-23s. This one looks like it might be a little earlier. I don't know. I don't know. I might even maybe I get 25 bucks for these ones that are stamped with this number are genuine Kurt ones. This one actually looks like it's in really good shape. I should check and see if this is better than the handle I have now. So anyways, 30 bucks for these 3 handles. Not going to get hurt there. I ended up getting these 2 handles for 10 bucks for the pair. So that might end up, working out pretty good. I'm pretty sure this is a Bridgeport. These are definitely knee elevation handles for a mill. And I'm pretty sure that these are both Bridgeport. I think they're just different era. Like that looks like an older one maybe. Could be wrong. So this one's in really good shape actually. This one seems kind of chewed up to me. It engages this okay, this other handle okay, so I think it's still going to be usable, but it's just not in the greatest condition. And this is completely different, in case you guys are wondering, this is completely different than the Wells Index design. Here's the elevation handle on my mill. It's just got these 2 pins, drive pins. It's funny, this whole hub assembly is beefier, but you're only engaging with these 2 roll pins that are in here. But I'll tell you what, I'd rather deal with just having to replace one of these roll pins if it gets worn or broken than having to toss the whole damn thing, because this is all hogged out. Alright, and then the rest of these items in this box, before we close out part 3. So there's going to be one more part. There'll be part 4 after this, which will cover the stuff that I picked up on the day that I went back to get other stuff. But this is the last of the stuff that I got on the first day, and there was a old machinist wooden toolbox there. I don't know if it was a Gerstner or not. It probably was oak. I think I could tell that from the draw fronts, but it was so black and it was so filthy with dirt and grease. It looked kind of like that Minatoyo case that you guys might have seen in part 2, that I couldn't even tell who made it, and it was in pretty rough shape. But I was looking through the drawers and I found a little bit of stuff here and there, so I made a pile. And this was the end of the day, and I was getting ready to leave. He wanted to get going because he wanted to go to eat. So we put this pile together, and I paid 40 bucks for this pile. I'll tell you, not much here, but mainly I was after these And in one draw, there was all of these collets that go with these. So we're going to get to these in a moment. Alright, so let's cover the basic stuff first. Oh, okay, I got 2 drill chucks here. This one, neither one of these fit this. I wonder if one of these fit that headstock chuck. No, they don't. So I don't know if these are number 4s. Yeah, that's a number 4. And that's a number 4. These are 2 number 4 genuine Jacobs keys for a pretty large chuck. Maybe an 18N or maybe even a 20N. I don't remember. But, you know, they're kind of bent. But these keys are worth $5 a piece easily. These big ones like this. So, you know, that accounts for $10 of this. Yet another SPI. Now this is interesting. It says made in the USA. So maybe it is Southern Precision Instruments. But this is an SPI vice stop. This is designed, it'll clamp nicely right on the top edge of your vise on your Kurt angle lock vise, and it gives you a nice little positive stop right here, and you can use it either side. So this is a handy little thing to have. I already have one. This is like the 3rd or 4th one that's come through my hands. This one, the only thing wrong with it is the little plastic wheel here is damaged. I might even have an extra one of these kicking around. So that's a nice little, that'll be a nice little find for somebody. You know, I don't remember how much I got for the last one of these I had. I think it might have been $10. This is the only collet in the whole place, oddly enough. I think somebody might have been in there. Well, I know people were there before me buying stuff, so maybe there was a rack of collets and this one just fell out. But it's a 25-30 seconds collet, and it actually is in pretty good shape. It's an R8 collet. No maker that I can see anywhere. Not going to worry about it though. Wasn't going to leave it there. No point in that. So, what we have here are not 1, not 2, but 3 of these attachments. Now, what these are extensions. You can put this right up into a collet on your mill, okay, and then this will allow you to reach down inside of a pocket or an area and drill or mill as necessary. So if you've got something, you know, pretend this is a casting, okay, and I've got to do an operation down here in the bottom, and for whatever reason, maybe this is narrow enough that I don't have the clearance that I can get the quill down in there, or better yet, you know, I can't get close enough to this inside wall. Well, along comes this little slice of heaven right here, and you can get down in there and all right. So I acquired one of these quite a while back, much newer looking and nicer looking than this, but it had no collets with it, and I had never gotten around to buying collets for it. So when I saw this, I was like, oh, well, that's kind of cool. This one's branded Universal Engineering 90397. Those are identical. This one is also marked 90397, but it's not branded Universal Engineering. But because it has the same part number, I'm going to venture to guess it's the same manufacturer. It's interesting that it's shorter. I wonder if somebody cut that down for some reason. So there's somebody selling a pair just like this on eBay right now, and they're asking $90 for the pair. Somebody's selling just one for like $30. Apparently they're pretty common. So these are the 2 that I already had. Still got the stickers on them from when I bought them. These are marked DA 20-200, and this one's just marked $20. This is marked 20 dash for $20. DA 200 is probably the series. I don't know what series this one is. So this one does have one collet in it. Yeah, this is an Ericsson collet. So I can use this to figure out what I need for a set of collets for this. I never got around to buying a set of collets for this thing. This is when I first got the mill. I think I came across this at a flea market vendor, and got to thinking, oh, well, yeah, I gotta have that. Oh, what's it do? Well, I don't know. Well, whatever. Then after a while you figure out, hey, you know what, you don't need to buy everything. I don't know who makes these collets. So the question is, was this even worth it? I don't know. There's no collet in that one. Yeah, this is the same type of collet that's in here. How do you get these collets out of these things? There's got to be a way that those come out. How do you change the collet size? Got a free end mill in this one. Hey, you know what? That end mill actually looks like it's in pretty good shape. So it's going to take a little bit of sizing to figure out the what I've got for collets here. But I know by the looks of it, I've got some duplicates, so I might be able to put together a little collet set with one of these, sell them off. Keep one for myself type of thing. Some of these sizes are so small and so close to each other, it's kind of hard to tell. Well, all right, it's getting late. We're going to call this a wrap for tonight. This is the end part 3, and we'll wrap things up with part 4 in another day or two. Take care. If you like what you're seeing, please hit the like button, and if you're not already a subscriber, I'd appreciate it if you would subscribe. I'm on the verge of hitting 9,000 subs.